This morning I hopped on a flight from Fort Lauderdale, Florida and flew in here to Dallas, Fort Worth to play at Texas Card House, one of my favorite places to play. We are sitting down with a 2-5 game. I buy in for $3,500. It's a match the stack game and I get into a huge pot right off the bat. I straddled a $15 under the gun and look down at aces. The button opens up to $50. I 3-bet to $210, and while I'm showing my cards to the camera on my phone, I hear my opponent raise again to $500.
How much?
5.
How much you got behind? I don't get it wrong. Let's see flop.
Versus a very aggressive player, I don't think I'm going to have many 5-bets pre-flop, especially over $3,000 deep, so I just make the call, kind of under-repping my hand a little bit, and we get an ace-high board, giving me top set and the backdoor nut flush draw almost too good. If he has kings or queens, we're probably not going to win too big of a pot, but when I check, he bets $250, and I think we only have one option here, which is to call, and the turn card is the king of spades. So now we have top set and the nut flush draw. I check again to my opponent, who continues for a $450 bet. After my opponent places this bet, I glance over at his stack, and it looks like he's got about $2,200 left. So now my decision is, should I raise this $450 bet, or should I just call? Given the fact that I do have the ace of spades for the nut flush draw, and I have top set, I don't think a raise is necessary. I feel like if he is bluffing, I want to allow him to keep bluffing here on the river. Definitely a player capable of putting in big bets as bluffs. Also, if he has a value hand and I check to him on the river, he's going to be betting anyways, and we can just check jam all in. So I decided to just keep with the plan of check calling and let my opponent bluff if he is bluffing. If he's value betting a worse hand, he'll definitely be betting here on the river. So I make the call for $450. This pot is getting huge, over $2,000 in the middle. And the river card pairs the board. It's a 6, giving me aces full of 6s, full house. I check over to him, and he decides to go all in.
All in?
Call. I think he saw. I think he saw.
Yeah, I wanted to see.
I'm not going to ask.
Of course, I make a very quick call, and I just roll over my hand right away. I don't make my opponent show, which I somewhat regret versus this player type. I feel like it would be interesting to see what he had. Later on, he did say he had pocket kings. So aces versus kings, 4-bet pot, set over set, full house over full house on the river. I just arrived today. I checked into my hotel. I got here to Texas Card House. I was only playing at the table for 20 minutes, and I win over a $7,000 pot here with aces, already up $3,500 on the day. Next up, there's a $10 straddle under the gun. I'm in the cutoff position and raise it up here with pocket 6s to $40. Button folds, small blind folds, big blind folds, but the straddler, who is a big supporter of my channel, tells me he watches all my videos, makes the call. We go heads up to king 3-6. We flop another set. Sorry, man, you're going to make the vlog, but it might not be good for you. Flopping a set, I bet $25 on this board, and my opponent check calls. Turn card 4, so now he checks again. I size up to $225, really targeting his king X hands, his flush draws and straight draws. He continues with a pretty quick call. Now leading to the river, and I make another full house. It's another 4. He checks, and I try to think about what sizing I want to go here on the river. With his quick call on the turn, I think he's weighted more towards flush draws or possibly 4x hands, maybe king x hands. So I feel like in this situation, it's best to just go really big, targeting his king x holdings and his 4-5x holdings, then to go small and try to target wider range of hands. So I decided to go with a very big polarized bet here on the river of $800, but it doesn't matter. He folds very quickly and told me he had 5x of hearts for a combo straight and flush draw that he missed, and we end up winning this pot. We've got the mandatory straddle under the gun for $10 or $15, which is great. When you're playing deep stack, you want to make these pots a little bit bigger. I've got a beautiful king, queen of spades and raise it up to $40, and only the button makes the call. She's got a short stack of around $130 left. Well, when the flop comes out king, jack, 10, I flop top pair and open-ended. I decided to just bet enough to put her all in, $125. She pretty quickly makes the call, and we're going here to a run out. Turn card's a brick, and the river card's a queen. I make 2 pair, and I end up beating her 2 pair of Jack 10, and we win a small one here, getting lucky on the river. A very nice change of pace. Last month, I lost a ton of money. I basically was losing every single hand I was playing, and now we're basically winning every single hand we're playing. Well, in this hand, there's a $25 raise under the gun. I 3-bet next to act with ace-king offsuit to $75, and my opponent ends up making the call. He's got about $500 left in his stack, so I feel like he's going to have a lot of pocket pairs here. Hands like ace-queen, ace-jack, queen-jack. So when the flop comes out king-high, he checks over to me. I put out a $50 bet, and he makes the call. Turn card 4 of diamonds. Now there's 2 flush draws on the board, hearts and diamonds. He checks over to me. I bet out 125 here, setting up a nice river jam if we get a brick river. But once he makes the call and we see the 9 of hearts on the last card, it's honestly one of the worst cards in the deck. The flush gets there. Queen Jack, which was open-ended on the flop, gets there. Definitely hands he could have once he's calling here on the flop and the turn, so once he checks, I check back my single pair, and it doesn't really matter because he has pocket jacks. A king beats a jack even here in Texas. Well, over the next 2 hours or so, I basically don't play any hands. I've been super card dead. It folds to me in the cutoff. I get very out of line here with 5-6 offsuit and raise it to $40. Just looking to take down the blinds, but that doesn't happen when the button calls. Small blind calls, big blind calls, and the straddler calls as well. So I end up going 5 ways here with a mediocre hand, but I flop 2 pair on 5, 6, 7, 2 hearts. A super wet and connected board. I bet out $100 here with my 2 pair. Only the small blind it makes the call. So now I'm heads up to the 9 of diamonds on the turn. Not my favorite card. It brings in any 8 as a straight. I feel like she could be calling with an 8x hand on the flop, but she could also have some flush draws as well. So instead of checking behind and giving a free card to her flush draws, I bet out 120, and she makes the call. River card, gross ace of hearts, bringing in that front door flush. And now she leads out for a $275 bet. I make a very quick snap fold, and she shows king 8 of spades for a turn straight. In this next hand, I get put into a pretty tough spot. I've got ace-jack offsuit. I raise to $40 here on the hijack. The cutoff makes the call, button makes the call, and big blind makes the call. 4 ways to jack 3-4 rainbow. I flop top pair, top kicker. I want to be somewhat balanced, even though it doesn't really matter in these Texas games, but I would be checking here with all my under pairs and hands I completely miss. So I feel like sometimes I need to check with my very strong hands to allow people to bluff or allow someone to overvalue bet a worse hand like Jack 10, pocket 8s, pocket 9s. So with top pair, top kicker, I check, cutoff checks, and the button checks behind. Well, when the turn card's the king of spades, this is what happens sometimes when you slow play on the flop. There's an overcard to your pair. I check again, and now the cutoff player bets out $105. When the cutoff player bet 105 here, I just had a gut reaction that he was bluffing with either a straight draw or flush draw, but once the button calls 105 and the big blind calls 105, I consider just folding my ace-jack, but I don't feel like the cutoff's going to have ace-king or king-queen. I think he would 3-bet that pre-flop. He shouldn't have a set or 2 pair because he checked behind after I checked on the flop. But after the button calling, the big blind calling, one of these players probably has a king, right? Well, after slow playing on the flop and not betting, I feel like I've got to keep these guys honest. So I decide to make the call for 105 and see what happens here on the river. We're going 4 ways, over $500 in the middle, and the top card pairs. It's another king, which is a very interesting card. Now, obviously, less likely that anyone has a king once there's 2 kings on the board. Big blind checks, I check. And now the cutoff fires a huge bet of $700. Facing this $700 bet, if the button or the big blind makes the call, I'll have an easy fold. But they end up making it hard on me after they both fold their hands pretty quickly. The action's now back over on me. I've got ace-jack on a board where my hand is probably best here a lot of the time. The top card paired, all the flush draws and straight draws miss. Is this guy capable of bluffing $700? Well, once he bets his sizing, he's super, super polarized. Basically, he's saying he's got a very, very strong hand like king, queen, or a full house, or he's got nothing at all. I don't think he would even bet this sizing with king 8 or king 9 because he would be afraid somebody else might have a better king. I'm definitely leaning more towards folding here, but I'm also feeling that my jack is good. I don't know. What's making me feel like I should fold is the fact that he bet into 3 people on the turn and then continued into 3 people on the river. I mean, he's just probably not bluffing here very often, right? Well, before I tell you guys what I do, I want you to go down in the comments and tell me what you would do in this situation facing a large bet with ace-jack on this particular board. Would you call or fold? And after thinking for a while, I decide to fold, and immediately I get shown the bluff. Ace-10 of hearts for ace-high, and we get owned. A very nice play by my opponent. A tough spot for us there. My gut was telling me to call, but I just couldn't put the chips in. If we would have called there, we would have made another $1,000 on the day, but after 4.5 hours of playing, we still profited a lot of money. I'm pretty tired. I've got a long week ahead of me, so I decide to call it. I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Well, that is a nice way to start the trip. Winning almost $4,000 here at Texas Card House in Dallas. I finally am running better. If you guys remember last month, in February, at one point I was down $25,000 playing poker. Well, after today's win, I'm pretty sure I've recovered all that 25K downswing, and now we are on the positive. So far this month of March, it's like March 7th, I'm up $10,000. So it's complete opposite of the month of February. It feels great to run good. It really helps your confidence level. I mean, last month, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just kept losing every single day. How much money am I going to let myself lose? Like, am I going to let myself lose $50,000, $100,000? I mean, it was getting a little bit scary there for a while, but finally, things are going my way. The variance is turned. I'm running good. I'm coolering people. Today, I got pocket aces. Guy 4-bets me. I call. Flop top set. River full house. Win like a $7,000 pot. So feels great to run good. It also feels good to be back here in Texas. I spent a lot of time here in Texas in 2021. I love Texas Card House. They're great. The dealers are great. The staff is great. The players are awesome. It just has a cool vibe to it, so it feels good to be back here. I'm going to be here for 2 days. Tomorrow, I'm playing a massive 10, 25, 50 live stream on their YouTube channel. I'm risking $15,000 for the game tomorrow. That's going to be the video after this one. So stay tuned for that. And then after the live stream, I'm flying out to Vegas. Going to be spending 4 days out in Vegas making videos and everything. So for the next couple of weeks, we got some Texas videos. We got some Vegas videos. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Feels good to run good. Please like, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll see ya.